Hey guys, it's Heather. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you my current eyebrow routine. I currently love using the Anastasia brow stencils. So if you would like to see how I do my eyebrows, then just keep on watching. As always, I will link all the products that I used in today's video down in the description box so that you can easily find them. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a spoolie. This is the spoolie from the Anastasia Brow Wiz, and I'm just gonna brush the hairs up. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take my little scissors and I'm just gonna trim any of the hairs that are really long. And then I'm gonna do the same thing for the tail, and I'm just gonna be really careful here, and I'm just gonna trim any of the hairs that are very long and overgrown. Now I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. Just brush the hairs up. And then just trim the hairs in the tail that are a little bit too long. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm gonna move on to using my eyebrow stencil. I use the Stencils by Anastasia. This little set comes with 5 different stencils. And just to give you an idea, they have a bunch of different shapes. They have high arch, full arch, slim high arch, medium arch, and petite arch. So basically what you can do if your eyebrows are on the really thin side, you can start out with like petite arch and then kind of work your way up to say like full arch. I always use the high arch one. Looks like this, and I like to use this like every time my eyebrows are really grown out, just so I can kind of go back in and make sure that the shape is staying consistent in between the tweezings. So I just like to always use this stencil and just make sure the shape is still the way I want it. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna line up that eyebrow stencil. And on this stencil, it shows you like where exactly to line. So right here would go from where your tear duct is straight up, and then it shows you like where the arch should be, and then off of your nose where the tail should end. And today I'm gonna be using the Anastasia Brow Wiz. I am in the shade medium brown. So then I just take this stencil and I line it up with my eyebrow, and I make sure that this line is straight and it's pointing down to my tear duct. I make sure that this other line is where my arch is, and then you kind of push it down that the edge is in line with where you would want your tail to be. And then once that's pressed onto my eyebrow, I just start making small lines, just kind of outlining that shape. And then I move towards the arch section and I just fill it in, and then the tail. So once the shape is kind of laid out, I go back in and kind of fill in any of the spots where there's gaps. So I just start by taking small little flicks of the brow pencil, and I'll trace along the bottom. And then I'll go into where the arch begins and then down the edge of the tail. And then I'll go ahead and do the same thing on the top. So again, where that stencil was, just make small little flicking motions, drawing, and then go out to where the arch is and then down the tail. So now that that is done, I will go through with the spoolie and kind of brush that out. So I'm just flicking up towards the front of the brow, and then as I get into the tail, I am flicking out and down. Okay, so once that part is done, I like to go in with my tweezer now. If I tweeze prior to doing this step, I may remove some hairs that I didn't intend on removing, so I like to make sure that it's outlined first, and then any hairs that are showing up outside of that outline, I'll go ahead and tweeze. So once I finish tweezing, I just go back in, especially in the front area. And I like to brush out the front area a little bit, and then I go back in and I will draw directly in which way the hair grows. So for me, in this front little section, they kind of go straight up. And then as you get to about right here, they go this way. So I will just make flicks going up and then over, just to make it look very natural. Now moving on to this eyebrow, I'm gonna repeat the same steps. So I will go ahead and line up that stencil like so, and begin by outlining that shape. Just gently wiggling the pencil in. Then I move on to the arch area and the tail. So once that's done, I go back in and I will gently line along the top of the brow, exactly where we did the shape, and then down the tail. And then I'll come back in on the bottom and do the same thing. And then moving on to using the spoolie, I brush through the front portion, flicking the hairs up, and then towards the arch and the tail, flicking it out and downwards. Then I move on to tweezing any hairs that are outside of what's been filled in. So now that I've tweezed all of the hairs that are out of place, I'm just gonna go back in with the spoolie and brush the eyebrows out, and then focus on this front section where I just wanna do some very natural, easy strokes to just kind of add in some natural hairs. So the last step is to use a little bit of brow gel. This is the L'Oreal either Brow Stylist or Brow Plumper. I am in the shade medium to dark, and I'm just gonna go in and gently brush the hairs up into place and then over, and then drag it down through the tail. Same thing on the other side. I really like the tinted gel because it fills in any sparse areas that you may have in your brows, and it sets your brows into place, but it doesn't make them feel like very crunchy or like you have hairspray on your eyebrows or anything like that. So that concludes my brow routine. I typically use the stencil and do it this way about once a month, and then in between, of course, I will tweeze and clean up any of the hairs. The Anastasia stencils are a really, really good option if you don't have time, or if you don't want to spend the money to go into the salon and get your eyebrows waxed. You can definitely do it at home. There's 5 different stencils in here for you to choose from. It makes it super easy. Really, anyone can use them. I prefer to use these so I can do it at home and it's nice and easy. So if you like this video and you found it helpful, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I upload weekly videos, typically one on organization and one on beauty. So I hope to see you again in my next video, and I hope everyone has a great day. Bye guys.